Hey, welcome back to the lineup. I'm LJ Mazzilli,
I'm Mike Olt.
and we had a great episode last week with our buddy Nick Ahmed, presenting his
cool stuff.
presenting his 7 Pillars program. It was very interesting.
Yeah, and getting ready for the season, being hurt the year before, so we're excited to watch him.
Yeah, definitely.
He's got some big things in store.
And he's so resilient too. So whatever he's coming off of last year, you know for a fact that this year he's going to be putting on.
Oh gosh, he probably can't wait for it.
Yeah,
He's got that mindset. A lot of guys could get nervous off that.
Yep.
A bad year or you're hurt. There's a lot of pressure that Nick's.
Yeah.
The only probably one I know that's complete opposite.
Yeah, and coming off an injury too, you want to perform.
Yep.
Kind of interesting watching Ronald Acuna right now, because he's coming in hot this year.
Yeah.
Off of that ACL injury, and you never know if someone's going to be the same.
I know.
After something like that.
What I was watching the other day was like a Yelich. He's coming off. So 2020 had a bad year. 21, it's like it was COVID, so whatever. 21 kind of had a pretty bad year again. Like he went from MVP is why I'm saying bad.
Yeah.
It's still decent numbers, but
Cody Bellinger's like that as well.
Last year didn't do well, and then he started off slow again. You wonder in a guy that's a superstar MVP was always in contention, like what he feels. He probably has the mindset, I'm fine. I'm gonna get to where I need to be, but I'm sure it's probably the first time in his career in a long time he's felt a little bit more pressure to get going.
Yeah,
there's a couple guys like that out there, so I like watching those guys, seeing how they're going to overcome all that.
Yeah, and you always want to start the season like going, because it's a long season. So the better that you start off, and then everybody cools out at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the better that you start off, especially coming off the injuries or missing a full season, like we're talking about, is key.
They say it's not, right? Oh, it's a long season. But
no, it's key.
Go 0-10 to start the season, and you're eventually like, which means nothing. How many times have you gone 0-10 in your career?
Yeah. But
the first 10 at-bats, then you're like, okay, I just need a knock, and then here we go facing another closer reliever. It doesn't stop. It can start spiraling, which I don't get it, but I know that there's a couple guys that I played with it was really cool to be in the conversation, like a Michael Young.
Mm-hmm.
Really struggled in the first 2 months of the season, and everyone's stressed besides him, right? Everyone's like in the cage. They're 4 coaches. They're like all kind of catered to, all right, if he needs me, I'm there. But they're ready to jump for like help. And he's picking up balls, and he's like, I don't get it. I'm going to hit 300 by the.
Love that.
But as calm and collective as you could possibly be.
Yeah, because he had that quiet confidence.
He ended up hitting 299 at the end of the year, and
Wow.
I think he was like at 170.
Yeah,
through a month and a half. That's a lot.
Yeah,
he turned it on.
But he must have been hitting
without skipping a beat
after that.
Yeah, without skipping a beat. Oh, I'm gonna hit 300. Boom.
Yeah.
And he could say that because he's done it for I don't know how long.
Yeah,
and
guys
consistent.
that are like that convicted with that confidence, just knowing themselves as players, knowing that I'll end up where I need to be.
Yeah.
Goes a long way.
But we talk about this all the time with the fake confidence.
Mm-hmm.
People can always say it.
Yeah.
But you can feel it when someone says it, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
They're right.
You could sense it. They don't have to say anything.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. And Nick Ahmed's kind of like that,
He is. 1,000,000%.
He's always been like that. He's always had one way of thinking, one vision. Nobody can tell him otherwise. Yeah. And it literally got him to where he's at now. I don't think we said that on our last podcast.
I mean, I think what we want to start off with coming on here is first couple weeks of the season. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on.
Yep.
I like to see guys with new uniforms on.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of guys that were like staples for teams that are gone.
Well, like I said before, I'm so excited to see what Dom Smith does this year, having a full season, getting an opportunity to play every single day.
Yep.
At a position that he should have been at the entire time. But he was stuck, on the Mets. He had Pete Alonso in front of him, and that's the only position that Pete's going to be playing.
Yep.
So Dom had to learn a different one for the first time at the big league level, and now, he's going to a team. It's young. He's going to get every chance to fail, and just having that confidence as a player, knowing that you're going to be able to work through things and keep the momentum going, you kind of take off at that point. So I'm really interested to see how Dom does this year.
Yeah, think about some other guys that. Well, Bogarts is off to a hot start.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I know a lot of my Boston fans. They're going to be hurt.
Oh yeah. San
called
Diego
it
is
too.
so
I
stacked
called
right
it.
now.
I got my fantasy draft. I was like talking because there's so many guys in different teams. You wonder, are they going to start off hot with the new team? Like I think about last year, I had like Olsen and all these guys that came to. Olsen came into Freeman's spot. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have as good a year as he could. Finished strong, but you always wonder when they go to a new team, how much pressure they put on themselves to like really perform and start.
Yeah, you've been in that position before.
Yeah, I never did well when I first got there.
Well, expand on that.
It's
give them a little insight of what it's like. Going to another team, trying to solidify yourself. That you belong.
Yeah,
Add to the team chemistry,
of course,
and then also succeed in the moments.
It's funny when I went to the Cubs, got traded. The next day I had a flight. The flight was out of Dallas. I thought it was out of Austin, so I missed my flight. So I started off great. I ended up getting to the field at 6 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game, 0 sleep. I had to pack my whole apartment, everything. And I walk in, and Brian Schlitter, if he ever hears this, I remember, we had just played the Cubs like the 2 days before. I hit a homer off him. I was about to be locker mates with him. And I walk around, and it's him and another guy, and they're like, "You can't put him fucking here. Are you kidding me?" I'm like, and I was walking around the corner. I'm like, I'm a nice guy. I was like, wait, they already hate me. I'm like, oh my gosh. So like, I put my bags down. I got my physical. They didn't think I was gonna be ready for like the game because I had to do a bunch of little things. I ended up getting the game, and I did feel the pressure. Like not for that story of those guys. I knew that they would love me eventually. But they were like going through. One of them was the third baseman who I was going to be playing over and want to hit a homer off of. So I got it, and I got a base hit my first at bat. But I felt some nerves. I'm like, I want to just come in.
How do you come in? Like you come in,
I came in asleep.
Yeah.
I literally was dead asleep. Didn't have any. We had a long road trip in Texas. Came back. That game we had, it was extra innings, like 5 hours. Didn't sleep, but then I got to knock my first at bat. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, then it
struck out four.
Yeah.
Went extra innings, struck out 4 times. The next 4 at bats, the fans were going crazy. Oh, this is a terrible trade. I'm like, oh my god, this is day one.
Cutthroat.
Cubs are like that though. Cubs fans they're loyal. They got a little New York in them.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to perform. I love that though.
Yeah.
I think they showed up to every game, but nerve wise, I think it's easier to fit in with a team when you come in and perform. Would you agree with that or no?
Yeah, absolutely. You come in.
I don't
hot,
know why it's like that, but
because the first impression's everything.
Yeah.
So you come in, good impression in the locker room. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, you don't want to come in loud. You just want to like calm it down.
Exactly. Come in, be a little unassuming.
Yeah.
Let people try to figure you out a little bit without coming in too hot.
Right.
Having too much of a personality because you don't really know the personalities that you're dealing with quite yet. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yep.
And then being able to perform, when you're in between the lines in the game, at first, goes a long way. You know, because the people already associate you with, okay, this is a guy.
Yes, I agree.
And that's pressure that you don't want to deal with necessarily. You don't want to put that on yourself, but you do want to be conscious of coming in and doing the best that you can, especially in a team aspect way. Like doing something to help the team win.
Right.
Being unselfish at first.
Yep.
And then it's a long season. You got to be selfish. You got to pick your spots.
Yeah.
Right.
And it goes to even like the getting to know the clubbies and stuff like that. Like my pants I wore that game was 3 sizes too big, but like I didn't want to be the diva. Like, do you have another pair that's a little bit? I just said this actually is perfect. Thank you.
I'll wear these parachutes.
Yeah,
it's all good.
I look like Manny Ramirez in '93, like with the baggy jersey, and the baggy pants.
Was Rizzo on the squad too?
No, I went to Iowa when I first got traded.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, which was tough, man. I actually did really bad that when I got over there for that month. So
yeah, because it's not easy.
It wasn't about
change of scenery is not easy.
Pressure. I think that was more when my concussion was like the actual.
The
worst it's ever been.
Through it.
Yeah, I had a lot of issues.
And you just didn't know. You didn't quite know.
No, like I remember at the end of it, Theo made me drive to Chicago.
Theo
Epstein.
Okay.
He was the GM then. got to, and obviously I thought I'm not getting called up for September because like the last game they had, their 6 guys, they told them you're going up for September. So I packed my bags. They said, Mike Theo wants to talk to you. So I drove into Wrigley, and I remember sitting there and we're talking. He's like, listen, you know, you're a cornerstone part of that deal. We're super excited to have you. We want you to go down there, suit up. Like, I want you to be a part of this September. You're going to get plenty of bats. Like, let's let it roll. And I looked at him in the eyes and said, I can't do it. That's
You can't do what?
I couldn't do it. I was too messed up.
Oh,
with the concussion. I struggled.
So how did he receive that?
He was like, shit, we have to. Then they did everything. They got me more eye doctors, but like they understood that this was like a serious thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not like,
Well,
Mike struggled for the whole year.
That,
yeah, Mike struggled the whole year. Like maybe he just had a really bad. They understood like that's not the case, and you only get a certain amount of times to be called up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to ruin my chance. But I just remember getting in the car after, and I was like, I worked my whole life to get to that point of hearing you're going to suit up. And I said no.
Wow.
So that's how you know I just was – I was going through a lot for sure. There was a big thing with my eyes. Like I'd have allergy like all in my eyes that I couldn't get out. And I remember Theo was like, oh, wow. Well, Iowa is really close to Chicago, so hopefully we figure. I was like, I wasn't even thinking like that.
Yeah.
I was just like, Iowa is really messing me up. And that was back when we thought it was all my eyes. And then Theo, they did a good job. Like, they got me to concussion specialist after that.
Were you still called up?
No, I left. I went home.
Okay.
Which is wild.
Wow.
Yep. I haven't told many people that story.
Wow. I mean, yeah, just to tell the GM, prevalent GM, one of the best GMs in baseball.
The stud.
Who had a plan for you to let him know and be completely transparent and honest about
and I was
how you're feeling.
Like he said it, and I had no time to think. I said, I can't do it.
Wow.
Right away. And him and Brandon Hyde, who's the manager of the Baltimore now. Those are the only 2 guys in the room.
That's crazy.
So I'm sure, I don't know what they said when I left, but they're like, shit.
Something must not be right if he doesn't want to get called up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
so what happened afterwards?
I went home, relaxed for like a week, and then we started going. Had a couple visits with eye doctors in Boston. I had concussion stuff in Detroit, in Detroit. So I went all over.
Wow.
Tried to figure out what we're gonna do to just gotta be solutions. But you can't go hitting 300 your whole life to hitting 100.
So when did this start? This started after you came over from Texas?
Yeah, I got hit in the head in Dominican in the winter ball. And then
before the season.
Before that season, 2013. So then you have the off season, and then I started spring training. I'm like, I'm just ice cold. I always start slow. It's not a big deal. But then I started not being able to play catch and shit like that.
Wow, like your vision was off?
My vision, my eyes would shake a little bit. I had like floaters in my eyes. I had a bunch of things going on to where I thought it started to get alarming. So I actually got taken out of a game when I was with Texas. I went to steal. There was the guy was stealing second or third. I got down there. The kid was out by like 10 feet. I completely missed the ball, hit me in the chest. Threw the ball back to the pitcher. Coach came out. He's like, what's going on? I said, I can't see. I can't see the ball.
Wow.
It's actually getting dangerous. So then I took like a little DL stint there to let my eyes, brain, like recoup.
Did they ever get to the bottom of it?
No.
Wow.
We did a lot of eye tests, which is partially my fault. I just knew something was up with my eyes, so something's different. I can't see correctly.
Yeah.
But every eye doctor I went to was like 15, 20, like 10. Like his eyes are way above average.
Yeah.
Which would be more frustrating. So then I go home and be like, I'm telling them that my eyes are messed up, but this is 2012. No, concussions weren't a thing. The movie that Will Smith didn't come out. You know, like it didn't bring any education to any of that stuff.
Yeah. That's definitely something that's very underrated.
Yeah.
I kind of have a similar story with that when I was in college. I don't know if you remember.
Which one? My freshman year?
My freshman year when I...
with your arm?
With my elbow.
And that's right. And everyone's like, he can't throw it. Like,
well, everyone
was broken.
They were wondering, why is this kid only DHing? Can he not play the field?
I remember that.
And I remember it happened in UMass. I made a throw from left field. Something felt weird, right? My arm went dead, and I thought, the bicep tendonitis.
Yeah.
You can make a throw like that, and your arm goes dead.
You can feel it up in your fingers, and it goes back.
So I come in from I got another ball, and I flipped it to George to throw it in. I couldn't even throw it in, like on a base hit. Luckily, I didn't get anything else during that inning. I came in and I went to Coach Penders, and I was like, I can't throw. I don't know what's going on.
I remember this.
And he said, okay, and I came out. And meanwhile, during that game, I had I think I had a double and a home run.
Well, I think
like
we
I
won
was
by
doing
20.
well.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were up a lot, so it was
Right.
kind of easy to come out. He said, go see Bobby, the trainer. And I
And
remember Bobby had me doing bands
with a broken arm, basically.
with a stress fracture that I didn't know that I had.
Wow.
So I'm doing bands on the thing, and it's killing me, man. And then I remember going back to the dorm that day when we got back, and just showering, putting shampoo in my hair. I couldn't do it, so I was just doing shower lefty. And we go the next day. I go see the doctor. I think his name was
Dr. Joyce, or
yes, yeah, and Dr.
Anderson, yeah.
Rest in peace. We got dual opinions, and they couldn't tell anything on the CAT scan or the X-ray because the swelling inside the bone was too much at the time, and it just looked like there was inflammation in the bone. So they were just having me rehab it. Got through the season, right? Just DHing the whole rest of the season.
Did it hurt when you swung, DHing too, or no?
It didn't hurt when I swung, but it did hurt when I went the other way. Because it was easier for me to be in and out of the zone than it was to extend.
That makes sense.
Right?
That makes sense.
So going the other way was tough, and I remember having practice and BP and stuff like that before games, and we would have another way round, like the other way around. And I would be in pain the whole round. But I wouldn't say anything because I was starting, and I was a freshman. I was the only one playing in my class. You remember?
Yeah.
So, and you guys were so good. We were so good as a team.
Yeah.
That I just wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to do something good for the team, so I didn't want to call it for the season.
Right.
And go see a specialist and do all that. So, let me just get through the season, and then we'll figure out at the end. I went to the Cape Cod League that summer and DH the whole summer again. But I was doing really well. I was hitting third for Gateman as a freshman in the Cape Cod League. I was, but all the scouts, everybody's wondering, what's up with this kid? He DH'd his whole freshman. Now he's DHing in the Cape. Can he not play defense? And it was like something I was trying to keep close to my chest because I didn't want it to get out there that I had anything, had any issues. Finally saw Dr. Ahmad, who was the Yankees coach at the time, doctor at the time, and the swelling went down after the summer season. He said, you had a stress fracture now to break.
That's crazy. Now
you need a screw in your elbow your bone needs to fuse to it forever. It's still on my arm, the screw.
How long did it take to recover from that?
I think it was arthroscopic surgery. So, after that, I was maybe a month after that, I was doing bone graft, machine, where I put it in every day.
Yeah.
And then, just gradually rehabbing it. And I was probably back in 5-6 months. I was back right before the winter, going into the spring. But I did end up starting that sophomore season DHing for the first month, and then I got back into second base and it was fine.
Right.
But a year and a half played through a broken elbow. Didn't even know it was broken. And then just try to get through it mentally. So I understand where you're coming from with not knowing necessarily what's wrong with you.
I almost wanted something.
And everybody telling you that you're fine.
Yeah, I wanted something to come back. There was one time when I went in there and they came back, they did a scan on my brain, and they came back and they came back with this needle. And I'm like, what the hell is this? They're like, we see some things in there that could be similar to MS. I'm like, with my brain? Oh my, I'm by myself in Texas, 22 years old, and they bring out this needle. I'm like, okay. So then they did a spinal tap, and then from there I had to wait a week till I can get results. If my career would be over, I'm like, holy shit, This is wild.
Yeah.
Did it all by myself. And that's when I talk about
scary.
That's kind of the start of me shutting off with everyone at the time of struggle. That was the first time I dealt with it. And I think that brought it to an extreme for me where the only thing I knew what to do would be shut down. I was just by myself all the time. That's it.
Yeah. And
everybody reaching out to me.
And I think
every single person.
I think it's so important. And this is what we were talking about yesterday, it's so important to have somebody
Yeah.
to be able to go to and talk to about these things where you don't think anyone's going to understand what you're going through.
No, and that's why I wish I could go. If I could go back in time and do one thing different, would be to all my family that talks to me, all my friends that were like there. They knew I was going through some dark shit.
Yeah.
So like, if I accepted it and just was able to vent, I think it could have helped. Like, it really could have helped me overcome a lot what I was going through, because I just held it all in.
Yeah,
the whole time.
But you're that guy to everybody too. The guy
Yeah, I
that
wanted
doesn't
to be
have
strong.
a kink in the armor. You know, a guy that everyone looks up to, that, you know, you've made it out of a small town in Connecticut and you're in the big leagues now.
Yeah.
And it's hard to like be vulnerable at that stage.
Agreed.
And with all that stuff going in your favor, that's an identity that you have.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. I wish I could, and that's why when I worked, you know, I've been working in baseball, I do like developing relationships with the younger guys that are up and coming, because I know what they're about to be tested to.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys that did make it to the big leagues, they've reached out, and because I've made it clear that I've gone through a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can be there. Like when I work with the bats, they would call me, and I say, "You call me if you don't. It's not about bats. I really don't care."
Yeah.
And when I got
It's
a
'cause
couple
you went
guys,
through that.
when I got a couple guys to do that, I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. Like, even one of them, I think, like, I'm thinking about proposing. I don't know if she's the one. Like, it's so much like on my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh. All right. Well, I'm not Dr. Phil, but like, I can maybe give you some kind of advice. Like, what you're going through is deep. So if she's not your fiance, I don't know. I don't know what to
But
say.
going through,
But like, they
what you
felt
went
comfortable
through,
enough to be like, well, Mike's gone through some shit.
yeah, it feels good to be able to be there for somebody else.
Yeah. So, and now I gain a lot from that, rather than, you know, and I had those people in my corner. I wanted to make sure I'm in their corner for the same. And if they want help, they get help. They can call me whenever. But it's more chill than going to like the sports therapist that you
or someone
trust, but at the
Maybe
same
like
time,
someone like your aging or whatever,
Yeah.
you know,
so
or someone in your family, like
Yeah.
something that you didn't do.
yeah, they're there for them. Trust me.
Yeah.
Your family's always going to be there for you.
Yeah, I think it's very important to pay it forward, like
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. Also feels good.
It does.
It feels good.
So I like that conversation we were just having. I think it's not just baseball players, it's everybody. Like every athlete has, like you said, a little bit of an ego when it comes to what they're going through, right?
No doubt.
And I think what I love about Nick's product is he's using his own experiences plus his accountability plus his knowledge to give people on how to excel in their life. Not just being an athlete, but to excel, be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
I think athletes in general need to do a better, I mean, as we've both have said, we've had people in our corner that's able to be there for us, and maybe we didn't use it as much as we wanted, right? I think it's getting better in the athlete world of sports therapists and people being a little bit more open to kind of.
Well, every team has.
Right.
A
We didn't
sports
have that when
therapist
we
now.
first started. I don't think.
Towards the end of my career, it started becoming like a necessity.
I have an unreal story about my first experience with a sports psychologist.
Okay, let's
And
hear it.
he's the absolute best. I walk in there, I'm struggling. I had the Chris Bryant behind me, like that spring training where he went off. All the media was, so Mike, what do you think about Chris? What do you? I was like, he's awesome. He's amazing. Like he's going to be a Hall of Famer. What do you want me to say? Chris wins the job. He should be playing. Like, no, I'm still good. Like I could say. But that was the whole thing. So it really messed with me a little bit. So I talk to this guy. We are 5 days from opening day, right? And he goes, we get in there. I sit down. He's like, we're going to do like a visual thing. I want you to close your eyes. You're walking out to on deck. Like he went through what the cleats you're wearing. You could hear the spike on each step. Like it was a 10-minute process. I won't go through all that. But he's like, okay, you get in the box. You see Adam Wainwright. He gets set. He shakes. Like going off that. And he goes, all right, fastball, 92 miles an hour, middle, away. You swing, what happens? Fouled it straight back. He goes, I've been, wow, we got some work to do. I've been doing this for 20, I have never heard a response quicker. And like that negative towards, I said, I fouled it straight back. That was where I was at the start.
On it. Yeah.
I literally swing, fouled it straight back. And I'm like watching the ball like still go back, and I'm like, so how'd I do? He's like, what? I look, his face was like, he's got the notebook like this. He's like, puts the notebook down, and he's like, no. Okay, so you got 0-1 count. What's the worst that can happen? You're 0-1. I'm like, I see what you're doing, but I'm still not like in a good headspace.
Yeah.
But we had such a good laugh after that it actually calmed me down. So when I got on deck for my first at bat, Wainwright was pitching. I like was laughing.
Yeah.
And I had all the stress of, Chris Bryant was gonna be down for 10 days, and then they get to call him up. So I had the billboards were all Chris Bryant, worth the wait. Like what? Like for me to even be able to laugh when I was on deck, knowing that whole stadium only wants Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool. Like it kind of was a cool. Yeah, definitely not me. I'm like, okay, don't worry about this being the most important at bat of your life. Like if you strike out, the whole fans. I struck out, and the fans did. We want Bryant. Not the whole stadium, just like 25,000 of them, which is not crazy. I slept pretty good that night. Like I was actually, but I felt I got a lot out of, and then I trusted him enough. I kept talking with him, and I felt that was a tough year for me in general, that I went to him a lot.
And you see the importance.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Nick's kind of trailblazing it right now.
No doubt.
For baseball players and athletes in general, because he's offering subscriptions where he's going to give you his personal advice and his experiences that he's going through currently or has been through already. And that's next level.
Some people are scared
that's so
to do
important.
it. Think about it. You're scared to like.
And but some people don't have the time. He's taking the time.
I know.
Because he wants to give back. That's the part of his whole 7 pillars.
And he has kids. He has a family. Like, not to mention how busy that is. So if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Nick.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be a super successful product for people to get better. And I'm pumped for him.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to getting him back on, midway through the season, just to see how everything's going with 7 pillars. Also see his progress, off of an injury.
We should see when he comes to City Field.
Yeah, when is that? Do you know?
No. We'll
probably midsummer.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll get him in here if he has the time, or we'll go see him at the field. But yeah, I mean, to come full circle, everything that we've been through, being able to swallow that ego and reach out to somebody, be able to talk to somebody, get that help that you need, but it's hard to ask for.
Yep.
He's kind of doing that with his program that he's offering, not only to professional athletes, but to any athletes out there. Or any people in the workforce.
It could easily work there.
Just it doesn't really matter what you're going through. If you're going through something, there's always like a general response in action that he lives by and what he talks about in his 7 pillars.
I heard this thing, right? Let's say I gave you $10 million today. Would you take it?
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
It's good.
Well, it's what was it? I'll give you $1 million right now, or I'll give you $1 million. What was it like?
No, this one's $10 million.
But tomorrow you're not waking up.
But you're not waking up.
Yeah,
and it's like that means that your life is worth more than $10 million. So you wake up thinking you're worth more than $1 million.
Yeah, right. And then that creates gratitude, which is a huge part of the law of attraction. I read that book, and it's like, you realize how precious your life is, that you only get one, and to utilize all the things around you to make it the best possible life that you can live.
Right.
And Nick's offering that in an athletic standpoint, but also a workforce standpoint, like we were saying, where, you don't have to be afraid, because people are going through what you're going through.
Plenty going through a lot worse.
Yeah.
Like this 0 for 30 stint, we put so much pressure because, that's our job. We're getting paid to play baseball. Oh, my gosh, I could be moving up, moving down, release. It's nothing. Like
Simplify
it really is nothing.
Be more present. Be where your feet are. Appreciate the things that you have going for you, and the things that you're worried about. You can get that help.
That's why when you're hot, everything's going right.
Yep.
It's because you're not thinking about the other stuff.
And I admire the people that have the mindset that stay even.
Yes.
Good or bad.
I was streaky.
It's a lot easier said than done.
Very hard. Yeah, I was a streaky hitter.
Yeah.
I don't suggest being a streaky hitter to anybody.
Well, you know what? I hope a lot of athletes out there, can take, especially from this episode, can take, our stories, our buddies' stories, where, you go through those peaks and valleys. And you come out on top, or you come out a better person, whether or not you come out on top in the way that you vision for yourself.
Right.
Because, like you said, the $10 million question, life is precious in general. So no matter what you're going through, there's always outlets, and there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Talking about the peaks and valleys, when you're in those valleys, you're not necessarily realizing how much of a blessing it is going through what you're going through, because when you do come back to surface level and you get on the trajectory of coming out of it, those are the things that make you, not break you.
Absolutely.
Those are the things that make you a stronger and a better person, to be able to realize the things that you went through and how much grateful you are that you did go through that stuff. And I've been there, you've been there, we talked about this stuff before. It really does make you a better person on and off the field. Agreed. A whole individual.
It's like getting your mindset during that time when you're going through it to understand that you're going to a better place. You're going to get stronger as a person, and you're going to be able to build on that, on the struggles that you had.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to understand. When what you're going through right now is not going to stay.
Yeah.
Right.
And they say it too a lot, where don't get too high, don't get too low.
Yeah.
But when you're in that low and you get back up to that high, it kind of creates that balance where I've been here, I got to stay here.
Agreed. You don't want to go back down.
You got to stay right in the middle.
Rock bottom.
That's that quiet confidence. I'm not worried about failing, and I'm not going to get too high on myself when I'm succeeding.
Absolutely.
That'll create that longevity, that flow where you end up like Michael Young. You end up hitting 300.
Yep.
He was hitting 170 for a month and a half, like you were saying.
He was only thinking about hitting.
Ends the season hitting 299, because when he was at 170, his mind was 300, not 400. I got to get to 400 to get to 300.
Right.
He's like, no, I'm going to get back. I know I'm going to get back.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to utilize the people around me to get there.
Yep.
And, that's an elite mindset. That's something that's very important in sports.
Yep.
So nowadays, everybody has an opinion. There's cancel culture. All that negativity is out there. And it's easy as an athlete when you're down, right, to let things creep in. But it's important, once you get your footing, you get back to that happy medium, the happy place where everybody likes to be, right, to remember that and always write your own story. Don't let anyone else try to write it for you. You know what I mean?
No, I love that. I think that's a great perspective that a lot of athletes are going to get to. And I feel like they have to get it on their own way, because people can tell.
You learn through failure. You learn through experience.
Agreed. And you're going to have people that are in your life saying certain things to you, whether you like it or not. You're going to have people that want to help you, but you have to be the one inside. Like, it's not, I want to prove these people wrong. I want to prove myself right. It's kind of like, I feel like that's the only way to become really successful, is you're doing it for you.
Absolutely.
That was some deep shit right there. I liked it because I think for a lot of the guys that we're relating to, it's the first time they're struggling. Right? They're high school stars, college stars. Then you're the best on your minor league team. Then you jump up. They didn't hit failure. So I think it's good for us to talk about it. We've been through it.
They can hear
and they're about to go through it for the first time ever. I mean, it could be in low A. It could be in the big leagues. They're going to baseball will make sure you go through something.
And listen, we'll take call-ins.
I'll
right
gladly.
1-800 call Mike and LJ. We'll be taking questions next week.
Wait. I just no girlfriend problems. I'm not ready to do some of those, but yeah, it's gonna be.
Well, you got some stories of that. Lacey's listening. What's up,
Lacey? Hey, Lace, how are you?
All right. Well, that was some great stuff today. We really dug deep into our history, some of our buddies that are going through it now this season, how it's gonna all turn out. So I look forward to next week continuing this conversation. Maybe digging a little deeper.
I like that. I'm into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm all in.
And we'll have a call in. I think we can have we have a call in number. We could take some questions.
Oh, I can't wait to see some of these callers calling in.
If our buddies, Dr. Phil, what
but if our buddies start getting the numbers, some of those calls are gonna be funny. I'm excited for that then.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, until next time, this has been The Lineup with LJ
and Mike.
We'll see you out there.
Later.